Humanity had waited for this moment for centuries. Scientists, dreamers, writers, and explorers had imagined what first contact would look like. Some expected a friendly greeting from wise aliens. Others feared a hostile arrival from the stars. But almost no one expected the truth, that the first message from space would sound less like an invitation and more like an order. The message came on a quiet Tuesday morning, slipping through Earth's satellites as a strange, structured signal. It repeated itself in a looping pattern, too organized to be natural. At first, the world treated it like an exciting mystery. News stations broadcast countdowns, children skipped school to watch the live streams, and millions stayed awake through the night waiting to hear if it was real. Then the translation arrived. A team of linguists, programmers, and mathematicians worked non-stop for 20 hours in a global effort. When they finally cracked the basic meaning, the excitement in the room faded into uneasy silence. The message was polite but cold, precise but dismissive. It introduced the Galactic Council, a powerful organization formed by dozens of alien species. They claimed they were responsible for managing developing worlds and helping primitive species join the larger community, under strict rules. Rules the aliens had written without ever meeting a single human. The message listed Earth as a developing primitive zone and announced that humanity would soon be visited by inspectors. These inspectors would judge Earth's level of technology, culture, and social maturity. Depending on their evaluation, they would place taxes on Earth's resources, control access to space travel, and limit human expansion. It ended with a statement that left a strange chill in the room. Compliance is expected. Resistance will hinder your growth. The world leaders stared at the translation. Then the livestream audience stared at their screens. For a long moment, it felt like the whole planet forgot how to breathe. Humanity had waited for first contact, but not like this. While panic spread online, the world's governments tried to calm people. They reminded the public that the message came from far away, that there were no ships in the sky yet, and that negotiations would begin soon. But humans didn't feel comforted. Something about the message felt wrong. Not dangerous, just arrogant. It felt like someone knocking on your door without being invited and telling you how to arrange your furniture. Humans were not used to that. Humanity had survived wars, disasters, and countless hardships. They had built cities from ruins and invented machines that flew to the moon. Humans had made mistakes, but they had also learned, adapted, and evolved. And now a distant council was treating them like children who needed to be managed. The scientists analyzing the message confirmed that its origin point matched a location nearly 30 light-years away. Whoever sent it had technology far more advanced than anything humanity had built. That alone made many leaders argue for cooperation. But others noticed something strange. The aliens did not offer help. They did not offer knowledge. They did not even offer friendship. They only offered control. Earth prepared to send a reply, and a special international delegation assembled in Geneva. Ambassadors, translators, scientists, and cultural experts arrived from every major country. They worked day and night, studying every line of the alien message to avoid any mistake. That was when they received the second transmission. This one was different. It didn't speak of cooperation. Instead, it sounded like a set of orders from government officials who expected obedience. The Galactic Council announced that their inspectors were already on the way. Their ship would not arrive for months due to distance, but they expected humans to refrain from unnecessary military development during that time and limit resource spending. In other words, humans were told to sit still and behave. Many people around the world felt something stir inside them, not fear, but irritation. Humanity had many flaws, but being submissive was not one of them. Humans were explorers, fighters, engineers, artists, rebels, and dreamers. They were loud and curious and stubborn. They had crossed oceans long before they understood wind maps. They had climbed mountains before inventing warm jackets. They had flown into the sky using fragile metal tubes powered by explosions. The more humans thought about the Galactic Council's tone, the less they liked it. Still, Earth prepared for diplomacy. It was safer, wiser, and more responsible. Humanity did not know the aliens' true power. They did not know their numbers or their weapons. The only way to avoid disaster was to stay calm. But something deeper was happening beneath the surface. Something the Galactic Council could never have predicted. Earth scientists began analyzing the alien signals with every tool they had. They mapped the energy signatures, tested the communications, and studied the frequency patterns. They quickly learned that while the aliens had advanced technology, their communication methods were surprisingly outdated in some areas. That was the first quiet hint that the aliens might not be as perfect as they presented. Meanwhile, military strategists studied every piece of information available, not because humanity wanted war, but because humans always prepared for the worst. That instinct, written into their history, made them survivors. Months passed, and the world waited. Finally, late one evening, the alien ship appeared in Earth's orbit. It was enormous, shaped like a long silver leaf with glowing lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. It radiated calm blue light, and its surface looked as if it was made from liquid metal. The ship released smaller vessels that gently drifted to Earth, settling in a remote landing zone prepared by the United Nations. Cameras from around the world zoomed in. Millions watched live as the first alien doors opened. The inspectors stepped out. To human eyes, they looked delicate, thin limbs, tall bodies, soft skin that shimmered faintly. Their eyes were large and glassy, and they moved with smooth, slow motions. They wore flowing robes covered in symbols that looked ceremonial rather than practical. They were beautiful, elegant, and clearly intelligent. But they did not look like warriors. They did not look like conquerors. They did not look like anyone who had ever run through a storm, climbed a rocky hill, or fought to survive harsh winters like humans had. The lead inspector raised a hand in polite greeting, speaking through a small device that translated their language. "Greetings, humans," the alien said. "We are here to assess your development. Please follow the procedures we have prepared. They are designed to ensure a smooth transition into supervised growth." Supervised growth. The phrase echoed across televisions and phones in every corner of Earth. The human delegates welcomed the aliens with formal courtesy, but behind their polite smiles, something else was forming. A quiet frustration. These visitors spoke as though they viewed humans as children. They acted as if humanity had no history worth respecting. Over the next few days, the inspectors traveled to different cities under strict security. Everywhere they went, humans noticed the aliens' reactions. They were surprised at Earth's crowds, at humans' physical strength, at the way humans communicated quickly and emotionally. They often whispered to each other, clearly shocked by how intense humans were. They had expected a simple species. Instead, they found a world full of people who spoke loudly, worked tirelessly, and stared back at them without fear. For the first time since arriving, the inspectors began to look uncertain. The council had warned them that humans were volatile and unpredictable, but they had not warned them that humans were also brave, clever, and extremely adaptable. They had not warned them that humanity's history was full of challenges that shaped them into survivors. They had not warned them that humans were at their strongest when underestimated. Everywhere they went, the aliens took notes, but humans took notes too. They studied the aliens' body language, their equipment, their strange technology, and their reactions. Humanity learned quickly, as it always did. The Galactic Council thought they could bully Earth into obedience, but Earth was beginning to wake up. And the more humans observed their visitors, the more they understood a powerful truth. The aliens were not invincible. They were simply used to having their way. That was their first mistake. Humanity's first instinct was peace. Their second instinct was survival. And their final instinct, the one the aliens had not prepared for, was to fight back when pushed. The inspectors left each meeting believing they held the power. But behind every polite handshake, behind every patient smile, humanity was slowly realizing something the Galactic Council did not yet understand. They had knocked on the wrong planet, and they had no idea what kind of species answered the door. The Galactic Council's capital station was known across the stars as a place of perfect order. It floated like a giant ring of shining metal, circling a warm, golden star. From a distance, it looked peaceful, bright, polished, and welcoming. But the humans who arrived there soon learned that appearances could hide much deeper problems. The human delegation stepped out of their transport ship with calm expressions, though every one of them felt the weight of millions watching back on Earth. Their mission was simple: speak for humanity. Their goal was difficult: convince the Council that Earth did not need to be controlled. The moment they stepped inside the station, they noticed something strange. The corridors were silent, too silent. Aliens of many shapes and sizes passed by, but none approached the humans. Some gave curious glances. Others avoided eye contact as if unsure how to interact with such a new species. Humanity had imagined a warm welcome, perhaps even excitement. Instead, they received stares that felt like mild annoyance or mild fear. The humans kept walking, holding their heads high. Their guide at the station was a thin, pale alien with long fingers and a soft voice. He introduced himself as Sereth, an administrative assistant for the Council. His tone was polite, but every sentence carried a hint of something else: superiority. "Please stay close," Sereth said gently. "Your species is not yet familiar with advanced environments like ours. We wish to prevent confusion." The humans exchanged glances. They had trained for space missions for decades, survived harsh atmospheres, and even landed probes on distant worlds. But Sereth spoke as if they were toddlers visiting a museum. Still, they followed him through the winding halls until they reached the Grand Convocation Chamber. The chamber was enormous, like an indoor stadium crossed with a parliament hall. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in curved rows that rose up toward the ceiling. Their seats were arranged in a circle around a platform where speakers addressed the entire council. The moment the humans entered, the room fell into a gentle hush. It was not respect. It was judgment. Many of the aliens whispered among themselves. Some stared with curiosity, others with guarded caution, and a few with visible disapproval. The humans felt the pressure immediately, like a wave of expectation that pushed against them from every direction. The council speaker, a large owl-like creature with wide golden eyes, stepped forward. His voice echoed across the chamber through hidden amplifiers. "Representatives of Earth," he said formally, "welcome to the Grand Convocation. We are here to evaluate your species and determine the proper role you will hold within our collective structure." His words were carefully chosen, yet the meaning was clear. "We will decide your place." The human ambassador, Dr. Elena Ward, stepped forward. She had spent years studying diplomacy, and she kept her voice steady. "Thank you for the welcome," she said. "We come in peace and with the hope of cooperation." The speaker nodded slowly, his feathers rustling. "We understand," he replied. "However, cooperation requires understanding your limits. Your world is young, your society unstable, and your technology developing. The Council believes it is our duty to guide you." A murmur of agreement spread among many species. Dr. Ward felt a quiet frustration rise inside her, but she stayed calm. "We have grown quickly because we faced challenges," she said. "Our history made us strong and adaptable. We believe humanity has much to offer." Several delegates tilted their heads, confused or skeptical. A three-eyed alien, tall and thin like a walking reed, spoke next. Your wars show instability. Your rapid technological changes show recklessness. Your emotional nature shows unpredictability. We have concerns about letting such a species move freely in the galaxy. Dr. Ward forced a polite smile. Humans evolve fast, she said. When we face danger, we learn. When we struggle, we grow. That is our strength. Another delegate scoffed loudly, a frog-like creature whose skin shimmered in shades of blue. Strength? You have barely reached faster than light travel. Your species is loud, chaotic, and physically fragile. You are not prepared for the responsibilities of the wider galaxy. The frog-like alien's words hung in the air. The human delegation stood quietly, but behind their calm faces, they were analyzing everything. The alien reactions, the room layout, the technology, the council's internal divisions. Humans were good at reading pressure, and they could feel the tension underneath the polished surface of the chamber. The council speaker raised a hand, signaling for silence. Let us begin the evaluation, he said. We will start with cultural analysis. Large holographic screens lit up around the room, showing images and clips from Earth, crowded cities, forests, storms, celebrations, scientific achievements, and moments of crisis. The council members studied these images as if dissecting every detail. A small bird-like alien with a sharp beak leaned forward. Your art is strange, she said. It is full of emotion. Why does your music sound like a call to battle? Why do your paintings show conflict and passion? A human scientist, Professor Malik, answered gently. Because emotion is part of our evolution. It helped us survive and understand each other. The bird alien blinked. But it makes you unstable. Another delegate, a smooth-skinned creature with glowing eyes, added, Your physical activities are concerning. You push your bodies beyond natural limits. Why would any species run until they collapse, or climb mountains with almost no safety? It seems unnecessary. Dr. Ward shared a small smile. Humans challenge themselves because it brings growth. Our limits are not fixed. We always try to reach higher. That caused a quiet stir in the chamber. Some aliens whispered in confusion, others whispered in doubt. The idea of pushing past limits seemed strange to many species who lived peacefully within their natural boundaries. But one alien, an elder with silver scales, leaned forward with interest. You strive beyond your nature. Why? Dr. Ward answered softly but firmly. Because we want to become better. The elder tilted his head as if he had never heard such a simple yet powerful explanation. But the moment of respect was brief. A stern voice spoke up from the far side of the chamber. It belonged to a short, stocky alien with a face like carved stone. Ambition without guidance is dangerous, he said, and the council must ensure that danger is contained. The human delegation exchanged a quiet glance. The meaning was clear. Many in the council did not see humans as partners. They saw them as a problem to control. Next came the psychological evaluation. A panel of alien experts asked questions about human behavior, conflict, teamwork, and problem-solving. They seemed especially troubled by humans' wide range of emotions. You feel anger too easily, one expert said. You take risks without clear logic, said another. You form alliances quickly but also break them when trust is lost, said a third. Dr. Ward stayed patient. These traits helped us survive. They helped us build communities, defend ourselves, and explore the unknown. But the aliens didn't look convinced. Then came the physical evaluation. A screen showed humans running, lifting, swimming, climbing. It showed humans surviving extreme environments, freezing storms, deserts, high mountains, deep oceans. Some aliens were surprised, others were impressed. but many still underestimated humanity. Your strength is modest compared to other species, a council biologist said. Your bones can break, your skin tears easily, and you lack natural weapons. Claws, venom, armored skin, these are common in the galaxy. You are simply not built for conflict. It was meant as an insult, but the human delegation did not take it as one. Instead, Professor Malik answered with a calm smile. We survived because of our minds, and because when humans work together, we can overcome challenges that seem impossible. A few aliens exchanged thoughtful looks, but others only shook their heads as if humans were exaggerating. The final evaluation focused on technology. Holograms displayed Earth's starships, communication systems, energy sources, and scientific discoveries. Compared to the Council's advanced systems, human technology looked young, like early prototypes. A reptilian engineer leaned back with a smug expression. You are centuries behind our development. Fast, yes, but still behind. Dr. Ward nodded politely. We understand that, but we learn fast. The reptilian blinked. Fast is not enough. The council chamber filled with soft murmurs. After hours of questioning, analyzing, and debating, the council speaker finally spoke again. We have listened, observed, and considered. Our preliminary conclusion remains unchanged. Humanity, while promising, shows signs of instability and inexperience. Therefore, the humans held their breath. You will be placed under guided development for the safety of the galaxy. The chamber fell silent. Many aliens nodded as if the decision was obvious. Some looked almost relieved. Dr. Ward felt her heart sink, but only for a moment. Because while the council believed they had reached a final answer, the humans saw something they had not seen before. A crack, a weakness. Half the council seemed unsure. Several delegates whispered with doubt. Some watched humans with curiosity instead of fear, and a few looked almost impressed. Humanity was not losing. Humanity was learning. And the council had made a costly mistake. They had underestimated how observant, adaptable, and patient humans were. As the humans walked out of the chamber, Sareth spoke politely. Do not worry, he said. With our guidance, your species may one day reach acceptable maturity. Dr. Ward smiled, but it was not a passive smile. It was the smile of someone who had just discovered their opponent's blind spots. Because humanity now understood a truth that the Galactic Council did not. The Council wasn't united. They were fragile. And when a powerful system is fragile, all it takes is a single spark to change everything. The human delegation returned to their temporary quarters on the Galactic Council station with tired steps but sharp minds. The long evaluation had drained their energy, yet none of them felt defeated. Instead, a quiet determination filled every corner of their rooms. Humans were used to being challenged. They had faced storms, wars, disasters, and endless problems on their home world. They had learned long ago that survival wasn't about being the strongest or the biggest. It was about adapting faster than the threat in front of them. And after witnessing the council firsthand, they were convinced of one thing. The galaxy had mistaken humanity's politeness for weakness. Dr. Elena Ward sat at the conference table with the rest of her team. Scientists, diplomats, cultural experts, and military strategists. A screen glowed softly in front of them, showing the council's final announcement. Guided development, Dr. Ward read aloud, which means limits on our technology, limits on our exploration, limits on our choices. Professor Malik shook his head. They think we are unstable. They don't understand how we grow. General Hayes, the sole military representative, crossed his arms. They don't understand anything. They only understand what fits in their rulebook. Dr. Ward nodded, and that rulebook was written without us. For a moment, silence filled the room. Every human understood what this meant. The council expected them to accept the ruling like obedient citizens. They expected Earth to quietly follow the path chosen for them. But humans did not evolve to be followers. They evolved to question, to explore, to challenge. "We can't let them control us," Malik said firmly. "But we must not start conflict either." "No," Dr. Ward agreed. "We won't fight. We'll show them." "Show them what?" Hayes asked. "Who we are," she said. "What humans can do when pushed." The next day, the council held a smaller session for official signing of the supervision contract. Most species accepted such documents with no disagreement. The council was used to planets bending under pressure. But Earth was not most planets. As the humans entered the hall, many council members wore satisfied expressions, expecting the humans to give in. Some even looked bored, ready to move on to the next agenda item. The council speaker opened the ceremony. "We welcome our new developing members. Please present your signatures for—" Dr. Ward stepped forward before he could finish. "We will not sign," she said calmly. The room went completely silent. The speaker's golden eyes blinked slowly. "Excuse me?" Dr. Ward repeated, louder and clearer. "We will not sign the supervision contract." A wave of shocked murmurs rippled across the chamber. Some aliens froze in disbelief, as though they had never heard a primitive species say no. "You do not have the authority to refuse," a reptilian delegate snapped. "The council has the right to manage unstable species." General Hayes stood straight. "We are not unstable. We are independent." Another alien, the frog-like one who had insulted humanity earlier, clicked his tongue. "You risk damaging your growth. This refusal is emotional and short-sighted." Dr. Ward smiled politely. "Our decision is logical, and we will prove it." A signal flashed on her wrist. It was time. She touched a small device on the podium, and suddenly the lights dimmed. Holographic screens lit up in every direction, surrounding the entire chamber. Council members gasped in confusion as the holograms began to shift and display something unexpected. Not weapons, not threats. Human history. Scenes appeared one after another. Humans building shelters during freezing winters, doctors working tirelessly during pandemics, firefighters running into burning buildings, climbers reaching mountains in deadly storms, soldiers protecting civilians, scientists risking their lives to discover cures, athletes pushing their bodies beyond natural limits, rescuers saving strangers, astronauts training for years to step into the void. Every image showed struggle. Every scene showed humanity facing something larger than themselves and refusing to give up. The aliens watched in stunned silence. "This is who we are," Dr. Ward said. "We are not fragile. We are not unstable. We are a species built through hardship, shaped by danger, and defined by our ability to adapt." The holograms shifted again, showing human inventions. Machines built in garages, rockets tested through failure after failure, solar panels powering entire cities, underwater habitats, advanced prosthetics, artificial organs, massive construction projects in harsh conditions. "We survive by innovating," Malik added. "We do not wait for others to save us. We save ourselves." The council members looked at each other, confused. Many had never experienced such struggles. Most species in the council evolved in stable environments, temperate worlds, safe climates, predictable ecosystems. They grew in comfort. Humans had grown in chaos. The frog-like alien tried to object. "Your history shows violence," Dr. Ward nodded. "Yes, we faced conflict. We learned from it. Every mistake pushed us to grow smarter, kinder, stronger." The reptilian engineer stepped forward with irritation. "This display does not prove superiority." "It doesn't have to," Malik said quietly. "It only proves that we are not weak." General Hayes walked up next. "But if you want a clearer demonstration..." He tapped a button. The holograms changed. Now, they showed human training programs, soldiers running obstacle courses, pilots handling extreme pressure simulations, emergency teams coordinating during disasters. Humans moving with teamwork, precision, and confidence. Council members whispered nervously. "You think we break easily," Hayes said, "but we bend and stand up again, and when we stand up, we learn." The council speaker shifted uncomfortably, feathers fluffing with tension. "These are interesting examples, but they do not—" Dr. Ward interrupted gently. "We are not here to threaten. We are here to be understood." Then she pressed the final button. The room grew still. The holograms showed humans fighting for others, a mother shielding her child, a rescuer pulling someone from rubble, a soldier protecting a village, neighbors sharing food during disasters, medical staff working through exhaustion during crises, compassion, sacrifice, unity, traits the council had not expected. The owl-like speaker leaned forward, his golden eyes reflecting the holograms. He looked surprised, not by human strength, but by human heart. "You care deeply for each other," he said softly. "Yes," Dr. Ward replied. "That is part of our strength, too." The chamber filled with low murmurs, this time not of anger or confusion, but curiosity. The humans had not threatened the council. They had not bragged. They had simply told the truth. Humanity does not back down. Humanity does not break. Humanity grows stronger under pressure. The council had mistaken that strength for danger. Some species began whispering urgently among themselves. A few seemed impressed. Others looked unsure. The balance was shifting, but the tensions were far from over. Suddenly, a delegation from the hardliner faction stood up. Their leader, a bulky alien with a voice like grinding stone, pointed at the humans. "This is manipulation," he growled. "They are showing selective images to appear stronger than they are. We cannot trust this species. Their independence must be restricted." Dr. Ward remained calm. "Everything we've shown is truth." "It is irrelevant," the hardliner snapped. "The council cannot risk allowing unpredictable creatures to roam freely. You will accept supervision." General Hayes stepped forward slowly. "And if we refuse?" The hardliner curled his lip. "Then the council will send a containment fleet to enforce control." The chamber erupted in shock. Even neutral aliens murmured in disbelief. Sending a fleet was no small threat. It was the council's version of last resort. But something unexpected happened at that moment. For the first time since arriving, the humans did not feel fear. They felt something else, a spark, a shift in the air, because now the galaxy had shown its true face, not a peaceful community, but a political structure held together by pressure, a structure that thought force was the answer to everything. Dr. Ward met the hardliner's eyes with steady confidence. "If you send a fleet," she said softly, "you will learn something very important about humans." "And what is that?" he sneered. "We do not run from danger," she replied. "We rise to meet it." The room fell silent again. The speaker rubbed his wings together nervously. He had seen thousands of species pass through the council, but he had never seen a species display such honesty, strength, and self-control at the same time. Humans were unpredictable, but not in the way the council feared. They were unpredictable because they refused to be small. Humans were not prey. Humans were not fragile. Humans were not simple. They were something the council had never encountered before, a species with fire in their hearts and steel in their minds, and for the first time, the galaxy began to understand. Humanity was not going to bow. Humanity was going to stand. And soon, the whole galaxy would learn exactly what that meant. The threat of a containment fleet spread through the Galactic Council station like wildfire. News screens repeated the words again and again, each time with a slightly more dramatic tone. Delegates whispered in the corridors. Assistants exchanged nervous glances. Even species that normally stayed calm began to doubt the council's decision. Only one group walked the halls with steady steps: the humans. Inside their quarters, the human delegation gathered once again. The atmosphere was tense, but not hopeless. Every face carried determination. General Hayes stood at the center of the room, arms folded. "The council is serious," he said. "They think pressure will force us to submit." Professor Malik nodded. "They don't understand how humans react when pushed." Dr. Elena Ward paced slowly, deep in thought. "We cannot start conflict, but we also cannot show fear." "They will see fear as weakness," Hayes added. Dr. Ward stopped pacing. She looked at her team and spoke calmly. "Then we won't show any." At that same moment, hundreds of light years away, the containment fleet was assembling. The fleet belonged to the Council's Enforcement Division, a group rarely used but feared across the galaxy. Their ships were large, intimidating, and equipped with disabling technology powerful enough to shut down entire planets. At least that's what most species believed. But beliefs were not always facts. The Enforcement Division had grown comfortable over many centuries. They rarely fought real battles. They mostly showed up to intimidate weaker worlds. Their tactics worked because most species obeyed immediately. They had never faced humans. The fleet departed with confidence, unaware that history would remember this moment not as a show of strength, but as a mistake. Back on the council station, delegates gathered for a closed emergency session. Humans were invited, but only as observers. Dr. Ward, Malik, Hayes, and two others entered the chamber, watched closely by dozens of alien eyes. The speaker fluffed his feathers nervously. "We must discuss the appropriate response to Earth's refusal." A thin, orange-skinned delegate spoke first. "They are unpredictable. Containment is necessary." Another delegate, one with 4 shimmering arms, gestured sharply. "Yes, before they spread their instability to others." But not all agreed. The silver-scaled elder who had shown interest earlier raised a hand. "This is a dangerous step. Humans have shown intelligence and compassion. Are we forcing conflict where none existed?" A frog-like delegate scoffed. "Compassion? Did you not see their violent history?" The elder replied calmly, "I saw a species that survived everything thrown at them." The debate grew louder. The humans watched quietly, absorbing every word. Finally, the council speaker turned toward them. "Representatives of Earth, do you have anything to say?" Dr. Ward stepped forward. "Yes. We ask again for fair treatment, not control, not supervision, equality." General Hayes added, "And if you threaten our world with fleets, we will defend ourselves." The chamber buzzed with shock. Several aliens seemed unnerved by how steady the humans stood. The speaker sighed. "Your refusal leaves us with limited options." At that moment, an emergency signal flashed across the room. A robotic voice echoed through the chamber. "Warning! Enforcement fleet entering subspace corridor towards Sol system." The council chamber erupted. Some shouted in anger, some shouted in fear, a few shouted for silence. Meanwhile, the humans exchanged a single quiet glance. "It's begun," General Hayes murmured. Dr. Ward nodded. "Then we must act." The humans immediately opened a secure communication channel to Earth. The message traveled fast through the subspace relay lines. Within minutes, Earth's coalition leaders received the warning. Earth did not panic. It prepared. For decades, humans had built starships designed not for conquest, but for protection. They were durable, fast, and efficient. Built with a mix of creative engineering and necessity, they could withstand harsh space conditions. Now, that creativity would be tested. Earth launched a defensive fleet, smaller than the Council's, but built by a species that never stopped innovating. Pilots took their positions, engineers activated systems, and communication officers sent steady updates. Every man and woman in the fleet carried the same thought: we will not let anyone decide our future. The enforcement fleet approached Sol's system with full confidence. Their leader, Commander Jarak, watched Earth's blue planet appear on the screen. "Primitive world," he muttered. "They will surrender once we disable their satellites." But before he could give orders, one of his officers cried out, "Commander, human ships approaching!" Jarak frowned. "How many?" "Dozens, but they are moving strangely." Strangely was an understatement. Human ships didn't follow standard formations. They flew in flexible patterns, drifting apart then snapping back together with incredible timing. Their movements looked chaotic, but there was purpose in every shift. The enforcement fleet had studied human tech, but they had not studied human creativity. "Maintain formation," Jarak barked. The alien ships lined up in perfect rows. The human ships moved like predators circling prey. The first interaction was not a battle. It was a test. Earth's fleet flew in close, scanned the alien ships, then pulled back with incredible speed. Jarak frowned. "What are they doing?" "They're studying us," his officer replied nervously. Humans always learned fast. The enforcement fleet launched a warning shot, a bright pulse meant to disable systems, not destroy. Human ships dodged almost effortlessly. "They predicted our firing lines," the officer whispered. Jarak growled. "Impossible!" But it wasn't impossible. It was instinct. Humans were experts at reading danger, experts at improvising, experts at surviving. General Hayes appeared on the human command ship's screen. "Their weapons are strong, but their tactics are predictable. Use unpredictability." The human pilots needed no further explanation. They attacked, not to destroy, but to disable. Human ships targeted engines, sensors, communication nodes. They worked with surgical precision. Within minutes, the enforcement fleet began to crumble. Jarak stared in disbelief. Their maneuvers make no sense, but they did. To humans, their strategy was an organized storm, fluid, fast, shifting without warning. The enforcement fleet had trained for clear, logical combat. They were not prepared for the controlled chaos of human tactics. One by one, alien ships lost power and drifted helplessly. Earth had won the first encounter. Back on the Council station, the emergency screens showed the developing situation. Delegates gasped, shocked by the impossible sight. The enforcement fleet, feared by dozens of worlds, was being outmaneuvered by Earth's much smaller force. The frog-like delegate shouted, "This is aggression!" "No!" the silver-scaled elder corrected. "This is skill!" The council speaker looked deeply troubled. "They're ships. They adapt mid-combat." Dr. Ward spoke softly. "Because humans adapt in every situation." The speaker stared at her with new understanding, mixed with fear. Another alarm rang through the chamber. Enforcement fleet requesting aid. The hall fell into stunned silence. The enforcement fleet had never asked for help, not once in history. Dr. Ward stepped forward, her voice steady. "This is what happens when you underestimate a species built on resilience." General Hayes added, "We didn't destroy them. We disabled them. We don't want war. We want respect." Some council members lowered their heads in shame. They realized the truth. Humanity had not escalated the situation. The council had. And humanity had simply defended itself. Meanwhile, in space, the enforcement fleet finally sent a message to Earth. "We request ceasefire. We acknowledge your strength. We will retreat." Human ships slowed their movements. The battle was over, not with destruction, but with understanding. The humans didn't chase. They didn't gloat. They simply resumed defensive positions, watching carefully but peacefully. Because humans did not fight for domination. They fought for freedom. Back on the council station, the atmosphere had shifted completely. Delegates who once looked down at humans now watched them with a mix of awe and caution. The speaker addressed the chamber. Earth's actions show discipline, not recklessness. They have demonstrated restraint, strategy, and unity. He looked at Dr. Ward. Perhaps we have misjudged your species. Dr. Ward smiled gently. You judged us without knowing us. The silver-scaled elder nodded with respect. Humans are not prey. Another delegate added quietly, No, they are apex survivors. The speaker bowed his head slightly. The council must reconsider everything. The humans had shown their teeth, not through violence, but through skill, courage, and control. And the galaxy finally understood. Humanity was not a species to be guided. Humanity was a species to be respected. The news of the failed containment mission spread across the Galactic Council station faster than light could travel. Rumors exploded through every hallway, every meeting room, every public area. Delegates who once ignored the human representatives now whispered their names with surprise, respect, or fear. For the first time, the galaxy was forced to face a truth it had never expected. Humanity did not bow. Humanity stood tall. And humanity won. Inside the humans' temporary quarters on the council station, the delegation gathered again. This time, the atmosphere was different. There was no fear, no anger, only determination. General Hayes stood near the screen, showing the final positions of the retreating enforcement fleet. They won't try that again soon, he said. Professor Malik exhaled slowly. It still feels unreal. A small fleet from Earth beat one of the strongest divisions in the Council. Not strongest, Hayes corrected. Just the most feared. Fear and strength are not the same. Dr. Elena Ward gave a small smile. And we didn't destroy them. That matters. Malik nodded. It shows restraint. And intelligence, Hayes added. Dr. Ward looked around at her team. The battle changed everything. Now we must make sure the Council listens. Not because they fear us, but because they understand us. That was the goal. Not victory through war, but victory through recognition. The next morning, the Council announced an emergency grand convocation. The chamber filled quickly. Every species sent representatives. The hum of hundreds of voices rose into a soft, vibrating sound of tension. The humans entered together. This time, no one ignored them. No one brushed past them. Every pair of alien eyes followed their steps, some full of curiosity, some full of worry, and a few full of admiration. The council speaker stood at the center platform, feathers slightly ruffled, a rare sign of stress. We gathered to discuss the unexpected outcome of the Enforcement Division's approach to the Sol system, he announced. A frog-like delegate spoke loudly. Their reaction was dangerous. Humans could have destroyed our ships. The silver-scaled elder turned toward him sharply. But they did not. They showed control, something our enforcement fleet did not. A thin, orange-skinned delegate added, If they were truly dangerous, they would have attacked the retreating ships. They did not. Voices began to rise, some defensive, some supportive. Dr. Ward stepped forward, waiting until the speaker recognized her. Representatives of the Council, she began. We understand your fears. You see a species that grows quickly. A species that thinks differently. A species that does not obey easily. She let the words settle. But we are not here to conquer. We are here to cooperate. Some aliens shifted nervously, others leaned forward with interest. Dr. Ward continued. We defended ourselves because we had to, not because we wanted war. General Hayes added, If we wanted conflict, we would have responded during the evaluations, or on the station, but we did not. We only acted when attacked. A delegate with glowing eyes raised a hand. Your species It evolves under pressure, does it not? Malik nodded. Yes, hard times taught us to stay strong. Then why should we trust a species built from struggle? The glowing-eyed alien asked. Malik answered calmly, because struggle taught us compassion. It taught us to care for others, even strangers. In our darkest moments, we helped each other. That is why we survived. Whispers filled the chamber. Many council species had never experienced such hardship. Their worlds were stable, their lives predictable. The idea that hardship shaped a species for the better was new to them. The speaker raised a wing. Enough! The council must determine Earth's status. We must decide whether your species joins as equals or remains under supervision. The room grew silent. This was the moment everything depended on. But before the speaker could continue, the doors of the chamber opened. A new group of aliens entered, observers from other council sectors. They had seen the reports of the battle, they had reviewed the recordings of the human presentation, and they had come to witness the final decision. One of them, a tall being with transparent skin showing glowing veins underneath, spoke clearly. We have seen the footage. The humans fought with discipline, creativity, and restraint. They defended their home without cruelty. Another, with wings folded behind her back, added, they did not escalate. They communicated before attacking. They aimed to disable, not destroy. A third observer stepped forward. This is not the behavior of an unstable species. It is the behavior of a mature one. Their words flowed across the chamber like a wave. The speaker cleared his throat. It is time to vote. The chamber lights dimmed slightly as a hollow screen appeared, showing two options. 1. Humanity under supervision. 2. Humanity as equal members. Each delegate pressed a glowing button on their desks. One by one, lights lit up on the screen. At first, the supervision lights rose quickly. Many council species were still unsure. Then, slowly, equal members began gaining votes. More and more delegates raised their voices. More lights appeared. The silver-scaled elder voted for equality. The winged observer voted for equality. The glowing veined being voted for equality. Even some who doubted humans earlier changed their minds. Finally, the room awaited the last vote. The council speaker. He stared at both options for a long moment. His golden eyes flicked toward the humans. He saw not arrogance, not aggression, just a species ready to stand beside others. He pressed his button. A soft chime rang out. The screen displayed the final result. Humanity. Equal members' decision passed. The chamber erupted, not in chaos, but in a mix of applause, cheers, and surprised gasps. Even species unfamiliar with human gestures clapped their hands or wings in celebration. Dr. Ward felt a weight lift from her chest. Malik smiled. Hayes finally relaxed his shoulders. For the first time since leaving Earth, the humans felt truly seen. The speaker addressed them. Earth, you are hereby recognized as full members of the Galactic Council. You may develop freely. You may explore freely. You will have voting rights, representation, and autonomy. And you have our respect. Dr. Ward bowed her head slightly. Thank you, Speaker. We accept with honor. But the speaker wasn't finished. We have learned something important today, he said. Strength is not only in weapons. Strength is in unity. Strength is in compassion. Strength is in standing your ground without losing your heart. He looked directly at the humans. You have all three. The Council welcomes you. The days that followed changed the galaxy forever. Human ambassadors worked with various species to solve old disputes. Scientists exchanged ideas about technology, medicine, and energy. Earth's artists shared music and stories, surprising aliens with their depth of emotion. Human engineers studied alien starship designs, improving them with creativity and flexibility. Species that once avoided humans now invited them to share meals, learn cultures, and explore new worlds. Children of other species gathered around human astronauts, admiring their bravery. Young inventors from distant planets asked humans how they stayed so curious. In a short time, humans became what no one expected: a stabilizing force, a bridge between species, a reminder that strength comes in many forms. Even the former enforcement commander Gerak sent a formal message of respect, acknowledging their skill and discipline. Back on Earth, the entire planet celebrated. People danced in the streets, lit up cities, and painted murals of humanity standing among the stars. For the first time in history, humanity was not alone, and not beneath anyone. They were equals, partners, explorers, leaders. One evening, as Dr. Ward stood on the balcony of the council station, she looked out at the endless stars. General Hayes joined her quietly. "You know," Hayes said, "they called us predators." Dr. Ward smiled softly. "Yes, but not the kind that hunt." Hayes nodded. "The kind that survive." Dr. Ward looked at the stars with calm pride. "We survived our world. We survived their judgment. And now, we help others survive." Hayes gave a small smile. "That's humanity." And far across the galaxy, dozens of species whispered the same words. The Galactic Council thought they could bully the humans. But they didn't know. Humans were the apex survivors. Not because they were the strongest, not because they were the biggest, but because they refused to break, and the galaxy would never forget it.